leaving. I'm not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving.
Let's go, baby. Happy New Year's, guys. Welcome to the video. So in this video, what I'm going to do is a quick technical analysis. I'm going to keep it high level. We're going to talk about some key support and resistance levels, talk about some patterns, talk about some movement we saw today, and talk about some movement we might see in the future. Now, before I get started, smash that like button. That's all I ask. Let's get right into the video. So here's NIO, ticker symbol NIO. Here's the 180-day chart for this company. Looks good so far. Let's talk about what's happening in the more interim right now. Okay, so in my previous videos, I talked about a trend line that we're seeing, right? So we've been bouncing off this trend line here, right? We previously tested it twice, double bottom, and I'm terrible at drawing circles, but you get the point. That's garbage, but you get the point. Okay, we bounced off this support line. What's next? Now, obviously, we need to talk a little bit more about today. Today was interesting. I believe it's over now. Yep, 309 where I live. So it is over as of today. And it's very interesting today. So let's talk about it. So here's the 1 day, 1 minute chart. As you can see, we had a huge push up this morning, hit a high of $50.50. Now, what I talked about in my last video is we had to get two major resistance levels broken through, okay? We tested those today. We got right up to that second one there, and it looked like we came back down. So then off that point, you know, it tested down here, tested up here. So we're starting to see some commonalities here, right? It looks like it's bottoming out in quite a few places. Now, one thing I'm going to talk about in this video is a pattern. Now, this pattern I believe that I'm seeing is a descending triangle pattern. Okay, now I'm going to leave a picture in the corner here. You guys let me know if this makes sense. You guys let me know if you're seeing this. Now, essentially what these patterns are, they're typically reversal patterns. So typically we come off some bullish momentum, we enter into this triangle phase, and then we come out bearish. Now, again, it doesn't always have to happen. There are breakthroughs that can happen at the resistance levels there. It's just a pattern. It's just a reference. So I'm putting a support level generally about that $48.43 mark, okay? Support levels, they can be generalized, okay? It doesn't have to be exact. It just has to be in the vicinity of where price was being tested. And we saw that repeatedly today, right? Aside from this large shot up, and even then prior to, right, we still consolidated a little bit here. We broke through it, right? And then if you look further down, we had a double bottom today, right? So I like what I'm seeing. And then if we want to identify a little more accurate, more tighter of a support, we can also argue the second one that we're seeing here, generally at about that $48.75 mark. Okay, guys, so I'm calling out the prices for you. If you can't hear them, I apologize. But those are your support levels, right? And how am I seeing that? Right, it's in it a few times here. Now, I'm gonna clear that up for you here. Let's finish drawing that triangle. I got a little off track there, but that's okay, right? So we had that support generally about that $48.45 mark, 43-cent mark. You see my support here. Here is that triangle, right? We're experiencing lower highs, and we're finding a nice support right at the bottom there. So I want to see what happens next. I want to see if we can break through this. As I'm making of this video, I am seeing some nice aftermarket movement here. We're starting to get near that resistance level of this triangle pattern. I think we have an opportunity to break through it again. It might test here, reject back down, and then if it does, I would expect at some point for it to squeeze out of this triangle, generally about this region here. So that is the pattern that I'm seeing on the day chart. Let's take a step back. Let's look at the 20-day chart. So this is the last month for this company. As you can see, we have the last 20 days here. Each candlestick is representative of an hour time span. So right off the bat, I'm identifying some key support and resistance levels, right? I'm seeing a strong support, in which is where we tested today at about that $50 mark. Now, here's one point I want to make about, you know, taking a step back, looking at all different types of time frames, right? You don't need to get crazy with it, but you want to try to at least expand out your scope just a little bit, right? So let's say I was day trading this and I was only looking at like the 1 day chart, right? Well, if I'm looking at the 1 day chart, you know, or even the 5 day chart, right? I'm going to be wondering, you know, why is it testing here, right? It's going to seem spontaneous. It might seem random, right? Well, if I took a further step back, you can see that we have also previously tested here in the past. Now, this isn't always the case, but again, it does serve value to look at the bigger picture and then scope on in on the subject at hand. And this is with a lot of different investment types, right? Like if I'm investing in anything that is correlated to the market and its performance, right, which is a lot of retirement plans, I'm going to want to at least have a high level understanding of how the market's doing. That could be via the news, whatever it is, right? So anyways, my point is take a step back and look at the bigger picture, okay? So anyways, I'm seeing that key resistance level there. Let's look at a key support level that we're potentially seeing. Now, I've been calling this out in my last videos. I still think it's around this area at about that $43.90 mark. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but the reason why I'm identifying that is, again, we saw a lot of consolidation here, and then we saw a lot of testing around here as well. So those are the key support and resistance levels that I'm seeing. The reason why I'm doing that, again, is because, you know, I'm trying to understand where this might test next, right? Where will it might bounce next? If I'm looking at this, right, what I can do is try to draw on where I think some potential support levels may be next, right? Or if it starts testing on its own, I can call that a new support. Let's say it stays stagnant here, right? I might call that my new support level, right? And then if I zoom in, that'll make a lot more sense, right? You can see we tested here heavily this morning, you know, pre-market hours. I can draw on my circle, right? You can see we tested there pre-market. You can see we tested there towards the end of today, right? So it is a significant point, and it does look like it can potentially span further back onto the chart. If I go back to the 20, sorry, this is getting messy, guys, but you can see again, you know, we have tested around here, right? If I drew that line all the way across. So hopefully that wasn't too messy. I apologize for that, but I'm really just trying to hit it home with that point, okay? So let's get it out. Happy New Year, baby. Let's go. I'm not fucking leaving. Volume profile indicator. Let's get it, ladies and gentlemen. Studies. Eddie studies. Hey, yo. I'm so fired up to not be doing anything tonight. Happy New Year. Nah, to me, it's just another day, but I think it is a significant milestone. It was a crazy year, I'll tell you that. So anyways, here's my volume profile indicator now. I had this originally on the 20-day chart. One thing I want to note with these indicators is that, you know, price likes to gravitate towards these larger sections here, these big humps. As you can see, we have a little bit of a hump here, so maybe that explains some of that. Again, it's just an indicator. Doesn't have to mean anything, right? It's just a reference for probability in price movement. Now, if I take a further step back, I want to look at the 90-day chart. This is because it's exposing a lot more volume to me, at least historically, right? So if I go across here, here's a hump that I like. If I go across here, you can see that historically when we were on this price, you know, it was captured within a previous time frame within that 20-day chart that I was looking at previously. And that is why we were not seeing it. So that's why I took a further step back. Again, what I like with that hump is that I think we'll potentially gravitate towards there next. Where is that hump located? Again, I'm seeing it at about that $53, $52 mark, okay? Now, how these volume profiles work, again, it likes to gravitate towards those humps. Now, if there is a gap in between the humps, right? So we see a gap right here, for example, right? That's a pretty significant one. If I can get this damn circle in, man. Good Lord, baby. You typically experience quite a bit of gappage, right? You see a lot of price movement. It can be very positive or very negative, so don't get too excited about it, but it is typically a period of test. So you can see across here, right? We did have quite a bit of movement a few times. If I were to draw a line across this gap that I'm seeing, right? There's my line right there. You can see where we gapped a few times, right? We gapped here significantly, right? We saw a lot of price movement there. We shot up significantly from here, right? So it's just a testing to this indicator. Again, doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to add another tool to your toolbox, baby, because with these tools, you don't want to get overwhelmed with technical analysis unless you're a highly technical person. Try to keep it simple, but I want to give you a whole palette of tools. Go through them, you know, select your top 3, whatever they are. Some of the best traders in the world, they use maybe like one line and like one indicator, right? They'll use like a simple moving average, and then they'll use like an RSI indicator. Just keep it simple. The big thing here is to really identify a lot more trends, patterns, things like that. You gotta develop an eye for that, where you just naturally see those lines in your mind and you connect the dots, and then you can use that, right, coincide it with some indicators that you like, and then ultimately increase your probability of predicting that next price movement, right? So anyways, I think we'll test next. Again, if we can get back up, I think we'll test again at that $50 mark. We got to break through that, guys. We got to break through that. Now, we have NIO Day coming up, and we have December deliveries coming up. The deliveries are coming first, and I believe that's January 4th. Now, when this news comes up, right, I would expect a lot of push, typically prior to. Now, it's going to be interesting because, you know, you have a pretty significant catalyst prior to a pretty significant catalyst. So I think there's going to be some crazy movement here. I don't know, guys. I'm going to stick with you, though. We're going to talk about this daily, and we're going to get after it because I fucking love NIO. Let's. So is NIO a buy, okay? Is it a buy? If you're looking to jump in now, if you want to invest in now, if you want to trade now. For traders, it's volatile. It's got a lot of volume. It satisfies a lot of key fundamentals for me when it comes to trading. So yes, I think it's a good trading stock. Just, you know, take that with a word of caution. Also, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But again, that is just how I look at it, okay? When it comes to investing, this company's phenomenal, guys. It's not going anywhere. My point to you is that you want to try to get it at the best buy possible. However, I would naturally just say, you know, buy it, whatever, blindly, knowing that it's going to keep going up over time. You know, not necessarily blindly, but, you know, like passively. Some people set up like reoccurring investments, right? Every time they get a paycheck, it takes out $100, dumps it into NIO. Now, I'd prefer to do it more manually just because my profit and margin is greater. But my point is, yes, it's a good buy. Just wait a little bit. Let's wait a little bit. There's a lot of movement coming. There's a lot of catalysts. There's just a lot going on right now. Wait till it cools down a little bit and wait till it dips a lot off some news or some huge sell-off or whatever it is. Then try to get in and then try to maximize your profit. So that's all I have for today, guys. Happy New Year. I hope you stay safe tonight and happy trading.